or whatever their business is, and then help them design those ideas out into applications and then build them. Our company is about 4 years old. We started in 2008, and both Lance and I have a background in advertising and technology. So we both started about 15 years ago in the digital agency business in creative. So we were both art directors. We worked together here in San Francisco in around 1999, 2000, and for a large agency working on pretty big website projects. And we worked together for about a year, and then we went our separate ways and did different things. Lance worked in Japan for a long time. I went to LA and worked in television, and I started this company in 2008 and partnered back with Lance again to really bring Lance's kind of strategic and planning and business background in with more of a production and creative background, and merge the two together to create kind of a full service agency. We're set up kind of differently to a lot of ad agencies. Our idea is that our agency and agencies in general, or our agency anyway, can operate in a very sort of lean and quick way. We're not a big agency, and we don't want to be. We don't think that these days the model of the big global ad agency network makes any sense for clients. And what we see is that brand marketers, instead of working or wanting to work with one sort of big agency that says they do everything, they're putting together several smaller agencies that are more specialized, and having them collaborate and work together. And so our clients are brands and businesses, but also bigger agencies who sort of bring us in to collaborate with them. So we work collaboratively. We work with clients and employees all over the world. We don't really have a huge team in an office, but we do have a big team that are distributed globally. And our clients are also distributed globally. So that's kind of a bit about us. I think today we want to talk about a case study of a client project that we've taken from initial planning and strategy through design and development and launch, and where that's going.
So before that, though, I want to show us some pictures of our kids. These are two of our kids. We actually have 5 kids, not together, separate. He has 3, I have 2, he's winning. And my daughter is the one who's jumping like a monkey, and his son likes this garage door with the no barking anytime sign. He discovered it right last weekend or something.
Yeah, he loves that.
So yes, we work for our children so that we can pay for their livelihoods. And this is just like a brief menu of all the things we do all the time. We do strategy for digital, social, mobile, basically all the different platforms that are out there these days. We do, and I'm the strategy person, although we all do strategy. And then we do creative. We build off that plan with our creative director, who's Matt, our founder. And that's everything from information architecture of a website to concept, ideation, design, copywriting, animation. We also do, we're kind of embracing social media. We've been doing it for a long time now, and so that's sort of a core competency. So that's why I put social media as a separate area, and that's around social strategy, social application design, community management, measurement, reporting. Is your campaign doing well? We have to follow that. And then we build, and we actually build everything that we plan. So a lot of agencies, especially traditional agencies, don't do these things. So we can easily plug in with them. So we support a lot of different agencies. And so, for example, these are some of the agencies that we work with right now. However, so we've got some big ones and some small ones. And then these are some of the brands that we either work directly with or with an agency partner. Currently, we are doing some interesting things for earbuds, up in the top middle, which we'll show you the case study for. And we're also doing work for Health Catalyst, which is a healthcare startup, as well as Axiom, the bottom right, which is a kind of a marketing data provider of all kinds of information about how you shop that consumers have that they sell to brands. These are some quick examples of the sort of things that we do. Everything from websites, for example, this one we did for the Avengers movie, to social apps and Facebook and other places that we did here. We do tablet applications as well as mobile iPhone, Android applications. This is actually what we're going to talk about in the case study today. And it launched a little while ago. We'll talk about that. But the point is that we don't really focus on only one platform, one channel, because digital marketing really depends on the brand, where that particular brand's target users are. You have to think about that, plan that. But then you also have to integrate a consistent brand story across all the channels. So
Just an example of that, this website here in the top right is Health Catalyst. They're a healthcare software and data startup. And their customers are hospitals, and specifically technology and medical offices within hospitals. So for them, what's really important as far as their communication is consistent branding, but also a website with a lot of informational content on it, and their customers being able to find that website through search engines and differentiating them in search from their competitors. So for them, a mobile application directed to consumers just wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't make any sense. So we really sort of look at who this customer is and who they're needing to sell to and talk to, and what's the right channel for them, and then we build out those channels. So the mobile apps that we're going to talk about are a lot more consumer-based, and they have really sort of fun consumer-type functionality that people can engage with, and sort of around an idea, around a kind of a creative idea. So just to look at what channel makes sense for a particular client. So this is what we're really here to talk about today, except our kids. We like to talk about our kids, of course. This particular campaign that we did, and we're still doing, still continuing, called Go Beyond. And it was a really interesting social campaign that has run about a year now, that we originally started up with this brand called Earbuds. And I'm not sure if you've noticed earbuds in the Apple Store or Best Buy or other places, but they sell them in their headphones for athletes who want to go running or cycling or supposedly even swimming. You can take it to a swimming pool. I don't see how that would really work. But they are a very unique earbud that twists in and never falls out. I mean, it's actually really hard to get them out of your ears. So we conceived this idea of Beyond the Wall as a creative idea. And actually, it was hashtag Beyond the Wall, so that it lived, the campaign name lived inside social media. And basically, this, you can see the hashtag Beyond the Wall there. So you can actually tweet it or Instagram it or basically do anything with this tagline that basically will live inside social media. So that was the kind of core idea. And then from there. So just to kind of explain what that hashtag means, it's kind of going beyond what you think your limits are. And very relevant to the world that they market in, which is athletes. So it's pushing yourself beyond your capabilities, beyond your limits. So it's really trying to appeal to their core customers, which are athletes.
Yeah, so if you imagine someone who's running a triathlon, has anyone ever run a triathlon or a 10K or, yeah? And so when you're training, you're trying to push yourself to go farther, faster, better, longer, and it's obviously really hard work. But this brand, besides making headphones, wants to enable that. So they want to help athletes go farther. And so Beyond the Wall campaign is this sort of brand promise that says that we will basically help you go farther, and using social channels and other things, help you enjoy that, sharing that, telling people, competing, in order to continue pushing yourself and letting your friends cheer you on. That's the basic idea. Anything else on this?
No.
Okay. So at the beginning of the project, we were engaged, and they asked us to come up with a plan. So this is where the sort of planning happens. The idea was they wanted to be a social brand. They knew that they'd go to these sports events like marathons, and they would hand out the headphones, but they didn't have a digital social presence, and they wanted to become a social brand. And they actually canceled their TV commercial for the year, so they had money to spend on social media and applications and cool stuff. And we don't make TV commercials, so that was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And so they asked us to come up with a plan that would be about a year long, and it would allow them to get into social media, build up a fan base, and then engage them, and then build a strong community. So they just started up their Facebook page around the time we started. And so the first step was an attract phase, and we split it up into 3 phases. Attract phase is basically to attract new fans and to convert people into fans that you could communicate with. And we'll explain how we did that in a moment. Then the next phase was engaging them with some type of activity beyond attraction, because you can attract someone and they just become meaningless to you if you don't engage with them, communicate with them, give them something, whether content or a game or an application that they can enjoy. And then finally, community, so that they would basically bond with the brand and start to advocate for the brand and tell people about the brand. Because in today's age, people buy things based on what their friends say that they've bought. And that's just the nature of the way things work today. And more that's the way it's going to be.
And this, just to kind of give a bit more background on this basic strategy, this was something that Lance came up with actually before this campaign for Kraft Foods. When Lance was working in Japan, Kraft was spending a lot of money on television. And what Lance was kind of saying, and you can probably speak better to this, was that with TV advertising, there's kind of a campaign that's run, they spend a lot of money, and there's a big spike in sales and awareness of a product or a brand, and then it just dips. And until they start spending money again, it doesn't go up. It's kind of up and down with the money that they spend. What we found was that if they spend the same amount of money to drive people into social media or into a channel where they can continue to engage that person, they're attracting someone as a customer, and then they're able to continue engaging that customer and continue talking with them, continue exposing that person to their brand. So that initial spend, the return on that investment is much greater, because they're not just giving that customer a one-time message, they're bringing that person into a communication channel where they're continually able to engage them. And basically that was this ROI, return on investment strategy around using social media.
So yeah, just to recap that. So this is normal. You do a campaign, you spend $1 million, then you get people to consider your brand, and then 3 or 4 months later, you do another campaign. By that time, your customers switch to other brands. And so you keep doing this over and over again, spending more and more money on media and advertising, which advertising agencies would love you to do, of course. It's great, right? Make a lot of money from you. However, the idea is that with Kraft Foods, with Stride Gum, we combine TV commercial with a social platform. So each campaign that they would do on television or elsewhere, we would have social engagement, which we continue collecting. fans and continue communicating with them, because after you're a fan, you're kind of, we have a communication channel with you. So we use the campaign to collect you, and they become, basically a fan or a customer, hopefully. And then we just continue basically having campaigns so it actually feeds into something meaningful, and conceptually have better ROI. So that's where this idea of the attract, engage, and community came from. So the community was, ultimately it's up here, this big community of people. So I want to kind of skip through to the actual case study, but the first thing we did for attract, which was the top left one, was a pretty simple tactic. It was called Beyond the Wall Action Photo Contest. And the idea was that we hosted a photo contest on Facebook that allowed you to post photos either on the Facebook app, Instagram, or Twitter using a hashtag of yourself going beyond the wall in some sport, whether it was running, cycling, actually it was anything really. People were jumping off of buildings and doing crazy things, but they literally were jumping off the wall. But the idea was you're pushing yourself physically beyond your limits.
There were no rules. I mean, it could have just been anything, as long as it was doing something that was beyond the everyday. It didn't have to be athletic, and we wanted to keep it really open because we didn't want to limit it to just people who were serious athletes. Anyone could participate in this.
Yep. And so the attraction came into it because there was a prize, as a lot of contests these days have. But we raised the hurdle of entry high enough that we get good user-generated content. And so we collected thousands of photographs of people posting them. People were trying to win a trip to Kona to go to the Ironman, which is a triathlon. But ultimately, the photos that people posted were fabulous. They were really, really amazing photographs. And because the concept going beyond the wall was strong enough that they would have to actually go beyond the wall. They couldn't just sit around and take a picture of themselves to win. We collected quite a lot of good photos that became a brand asset for this brand. So Earbuds then had, we proposed it and they decided to do it, created a permanent gallery in Facebook and on their website that was basically the face of Earbuds, which is all the people who basically go beyond the wall and push themselves. And each one had a photograph and a story about what they were doing as they were pushing themselves to go beyond the wall. So these are the stories. There was kind of ongoing commentary. People, their friends, could go in and basically write things. So it built a kind of community around their photographs.
So prior to doing this brand would go into a studio and set up athletes, spray them down with water and take beautiful photos like Nike would, and use those as their brand on their packages, on their in their retail stores, things like that. When they started seeing these photos that were coming in, they ditched all of that and said, we want this to be our brand. And they're now using, so this was one of their older campaigns before we did this. Conceptual sort of studio shots. Now they're using all these user-generated photos that they've collected as kind of the center of their brand. So they're able to take these and use them on packages, use them in different ways, and they have a huge library of stuff to pull from.
Yep. So from the point of view of the goal for this was to collect people, basically attract fans. They increased their Facebook page 1,000% in 3 months. It basically went from 0 to about 50,000 very, very quickly, which is not a huge Facebook page, but for a fan page that just started up, it was pretty dynamic. And it continues to grow really fast now because it's basically builds off of it itself. Okay, so that was the first thing we did to attract. The next thing we did was the bigger thing, which we're really excited to share with you. We were basically looking for some utility that would help people train better. But we wanted a utility, a mobile utility that basically people could train, but not just train, run and then record how far you run, but actually allow you to be social and reward you when you go beyond. And so the idea of the Go Beyond app starts there. what we first did was create wireframes. If you don't work in a web world, you might not know what a wireframe is, but it's basically a wireframe is a rough sketch of how the app works. And in this case, it sort of shows how it flowed as you move through it, so it had a user flow. And we pitched the idea to the client this way. Basically, we said, this is how it works, this is the core functionality, which I won't tell you right now, because I'll show you the real thing. But it was a way of communicating what we wanted to do. So it's like, this is it kind of thing. This is the concept, but this is how it works. For example, a user selects from a badge, and from the badge they can see the challenge that they would do, the running challenge, the swimming challenge. Then they would, here's the timer, then this is they completed it, this is the social interaction, they share it, so it was kind of an explanation of how it would work. You can't just start by designing and building it and say, here it is. You actually have to kind of build up to it incrementally.
So just to kind of back up, the high level sort of concept for this app was that it's a mobile app that tracks you doing things in the real world, so running, cycling, or swimming, and you're competing with other people who also use the app in a social sort of way. So you can say, I'm a runner, show me all the running challenges, and there's certain challenges in there, or the cycling or swimming challenges. You select one, you say, okay, I'm doing it, and it tracks you as you do it. It records your time and distance through the app, and then it sort of posts that into a leaderboard that's sort of a running leaderboard of everyone's activity. You can also follow people, so you can follow your own friends, and so you can either compete with the whole community or just a set of friends that you choose.
So you might ask yourself, why would a headphone company want to do something like that? That sounds stupid. I mean, why startups do that kind of thing? A startup creates something like that. Instagram, why would a brand want to do something like this? Well, the problem is that people your age and people my age aren't watching TV as much. They use the internet, they use their apps. They actually enjoy something besides meaningless TV commercials. And so what we wanted to do is create something meaningful that would represent the brand. And so through that meaningful utility they use over and over again, they basically, their affinity, their liking for the brand grows. And so this idea of brand utility, which IAD is basically founded on, is actually creating something that for the brand that is useful so that people will regard the brand highly. And so that, which we think kind of transcends advertising. It kind of goes into the actual product itself, innovation, and like, why would you even choose Nike or choose a brand? And so that's what we were trying to do for your business. So this is the starter. This is basically when you first get to the app before you actually connect to Facebook. It has a brief intro explaining what the app is. It's pretty typical for mobile apps to sort of tell you what the app is when you first get into it, like an intro screen. Another slide, telling that it has GPS that allows you to track your activity, and that based on your completion of challenges, you receive badges and points. And you guys, I'm sure you use Foursquare and other badges and point systems, but there's never been, up to this point, a sports app that let you do that. So we thought, why not kind of combine this idea of training app with the social badges kind of game app that, they exist, but this didn't exist before. Another image. If you could.
Yeah, so once you're in the app, it's very kind of personalized, and it connects with people's Facebook profiles, so it pulls your Facebook data and friends, and then it lets you take on these challenges. So there's a lot of different settings you can customize within the app and say, I just want to see running, or I just want to see cycling because that's what I'm into, or just show me everything. You then select a challenge that you're going to do, and this one on the right over here is called the Ironman. And you get this clock. It's kind of like a stopwatch, but it also tracks distance. So this thing's tracking the distance via GPS in the phone as well as time. then say, okay, I'm doing this challenge, I'm starting now, and the app starts tracking you. When you're done, if it's a distance challenge, it knows when you're done, because you've run 20 miles, so it says, okay, you've run 20 miles, you're done. Then you've earned the badge, and this one's kind of it's a marathon badge. You're able to share it in social. You can set the app up to automatically share your activity in Facebook, or you can customize where you share it at the end. You've earned that badge, so you have a profile within the app, and it shows all your activity and all your badges. Other people can comment on those and like them. And that activity also gets fed into Facebook, which then creates this loop of all your Facebook friends kind of seeing what you're doing and getting interested in the app as well. There's a leaderboard, which is basically you're competing with everyone using the app. You can also see on this leaderboard recent activity, so what's been going on most recently, and just the people you're following. So there's different ways to kind of filter this activity stream. So while you're doing all that with this app, a lot of activity is fed into Facebook, and that creates kind of this viral loop of all your Facebook friends seeing what you're doing and clicking on these things takes them to a Facebook app, which gives a little information but not much, just kind of enough to be a teaser to get people interested in the app. And the main goal of that is to drive people to actually download the app and start using it. So the way we're using Facebook here is through a platform they have called Open Graph, where we're able to connect to the Facebook API and feed all this activity into people's screens within Facebook. We're then driving just to a basic Facebook app that then drives people to download the mobile app and doesn't really give them much within Facebook itself except that stream of activity. So for example, the leaderboard within Facebook, we're just showing the top 10 people. If you wanted to see more than that, you have to download the app. So everything kind of drives to this page on Facebook.
Just wanted to stress this area of Open Graph, which Facebook basically came out with this year. Facebook, up until I guess the beginning of this year, Facebook allowed brands to have apps, right, in their Facebook pages, fan pages, and they often had like gates that annoyed you. You had to like it before you could get into it, and well, they basically abolished that, and they made Facebook apps less important in some ways because you'd actually have to go find them. They weren't easy to find on the page. You'd have to click the little tab and find it. But what they did with Open Graph is really interesting because it allows your website or your mobile app, in our case our mobile app, to publish into people's feeds if you give them permission. And so in our case, every time someone gets basically gets a badge, it automatically publishes into their feed. Or there would be a module, the Open Graph module, much like Instagram or Fab or other brands have these now, apps have these now. And it's basically kind of like your gallery of activities that you did with the app. And in a way, I think this is much more compelling because it can do this, but it can also be, I mean, no one's ever going to do all of this at once, right? This is sort of artificial, but in your daily life, your sports activity would get published and people could easily see what you were doing. Just like when you post a photograph on Instagram, people can see the photographs that you take. And not everyone wants to do that, so you can turn it off in our app, but we think that, well, at least our app is made for social athletes, so we wanted to make it really easy to sync up with their digital life. And so different things like you made a leaderboard, or you conquered a new level, you started a new category, like you moved over to swimming, all those different activities would be recorded in your social channel. And so people who don't use the app can easily look at what Here's a choice quote from our client, the brand manager at Earbuds. We picked a brand utility. So we asked him, why did you decide to do a brand utility? And he said, we picked a brand utility like Go Beyond because it's a much deeper engagement and tells a story through experience rather than words. So, you know, through experiencing your life through sports and to be able to share that, that's a much stronger brand, basically, than some advertisement or some catch copy, is what he was saying. And then he said that Go Beyond app means translating our mission statement and brand essence into something tangible and usable by our core audience. Another way to serve them in a unique and forward-looking fashion. So this brand really wants to serve their customers beyond just selling stuff. So I think he is a really, great advocate for this brand. So we launched it on the Apple Store and the Google Play at the same time, which was a hell of a feat. It was a big pain in the ass. And most startups don't do that because it's really hard to do both at the same time. But due to a demanding client and basically a demanding client, we had to get it done. And so we launched a little bit late, but we did launch both at the same time. And if you have an iPhone or an Android phone, feel free to search for Go Beyond and give it a try. You know, why not? Might get some exercise. And it's really fun to use. And it's just launched, so it's brand new. The community is slowly growing. And Earbuds is planning on using it next year as one of their main channels for doing different engagements. For example, they have a lot of different sports events like Ironman, right, Beta Breakers, things like that. So they're going to be creating custom badges that if you did the Beta Breakers, you can collect that badge. So they'll be having kind of ongoing, kind of one-off engagements as well. So I think that's all from us, unless you have anything.
No, I think that's all. I mean, I think one thing that we didn't really talk about here is actually building this stuff. And we come up with these ideas, and we're able to kind of create, this concept and this idea, and take it to a client, get them excited, and get them and sell it to them, basically. But then we have to build it, and we do that as well. And that's actually, I think, more important than actually just being able to come up with an idea and sell it is to really do it. And that's kind of what our company is founded on, is idea generation, but also really doing and building things.
It's all right. I thought it was easy enough. Yeah. So that app, besides being a mobile app, it has basically a content management system. It's a website that allows the brand themselves to update with new challenges. We're calling them walls. And each challenge has a badge. It also has what categories is it running or riding or swimming. It has what are the points, how far, how long, several other parameters. And they have to basically do that. Then they can publish, and then it shows up in the app. And so the app really never has to be resubmitted to the stores because it has a back end that easily updates content. And it basically saves them a lot of time and hassle. A lot of apps you have to just continually upload them to, every time you update it, upload to the store, and it costs a lot of time and money to update apps. It's actually really time consuming. And the store, especially Apple stores, are really, really slow about the review processes, 2 to 3 weeks. I think ours took a month because it had a lot of different features like GPS and social and stuff. So you're better off doing something where you have a back end data and content upload that can be uploaded into the app each time you access it. Just to get really techy.
So, thank you very much. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Does she need a microphone or something?
It's inside the question.
No.
People do this at lectures.
Okay. Hi. So, the first thing when you mentioned that you attracted customers and fans, how did it happen? Did it happen naturally because of your social media campaign? Or did you use some kind of tool? Because
No,
you increased to thousands of fans, right?
So I think what's really important is creating a social campaign that's viral and that has kind of a viral element to it. So the users themselves, through their activities, are the ones who are promoting it to their friends as they're doing it. So everything that we do in social and build has this kind of core viral functionality to it. So if you do something, if you upload a photo, all your friends on Facebook will see that you did that, and the app itself is going to ask them to start participating. So anyone who uploaded a photo to this photo contest, it sent that out through Facebook to all their friends and said, come and look at my photo and vote for it. And
Votes for me.
right, and then as we start leading people's friends into that channel, they start participating, and it creates this kind of exponential viral effect that just starts attracting their friends as they do it.
That combined with banner ads, media, and like Facebook ads, as well as other ads, running websites and things like that, pointing to the contest. So this combining media and PR with a social attraction app, contest app, brought the people inside.
Just one more thing. In one slide, you say that the winner of the competition would be a viral marketing. I don't remember this slide. So the application said, like, because you're explaining the steps of the application, I guess, and I think it's in the beginning, right in the beginning of the presentation.
Was it for the mobile app or the Facebook app?
You're explaining steps, and when you say like each winners is a viral marketing.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. So I got interested in everyone's winner viral marketing. What does that mean?
Okay, so just to kind of reiterate what Matt just said, if I want to go to Kona, I will upload my photograph. But the only way I can win is if the most people vote for me. So the way people vote for me is I tell all my friends in Facebook to vote for me. And so it's viral because it's like a disease, right? The more people hear about it, the more people vote for you. And then other people realize, oh, I want to go to Kona, so I will post my photograph. And so they post theirs, and then they tell their friends, and then it basically spreads.
So the people that came first and second in this were really, throughout this campaign, were really competing. They were really close. But they also got maybe 50,000 more votes than the third person. And it was because they were constantly sending out their photo to all their friends saying, hey, vote for me, come and vote for me. And we didn't limit the number of votes that you could vote once a day for a photo. So these people literally every day were sending out their photo to all their friends saying, come back here and vote for me. And that was kind of, they wanted to win. So they were asking their friends to help them.
Yeah.
You had a question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good question.
I have a couple as well, but I'll ask one now. Don't you think that generally, like, this mechanism is dying because now you need to pay for everything? Like, if you want to promote posts, like only 10 or 20% of the posts that you post as a brand are actually visible.
Yeah.
So this viral effect is pretty much dead, like in my opinion. So don't you think that it's going to be more and more challenging in terms of building these viral apps that you cannot really get this traction that you want?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, what was your name?
It's complicated. It's never easy.
I think I saw you on Facebook. I'll track you down. What he said was that now you can only see 15% of anyone's feed or brand's feeds, which is true. So social marketing has taken a big impact. You have to promote your posts, your status updates, in order to be seen by more people. So it's really interesting because a lot of brands invested millions of dollars in social marketing, and now they're seeing the ROI suddenly drop. And so now people are wondering, should we even use Facebook anymore? Should we use Twitter or Google Plus or Instagram or Pinterest or blah, 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 blah? basically meaning that you have to use other channels to increase your reach. And
That's also specifically related to a post from a brand. So if a brand wants to create a post that's purely for business or for marketing, they will have to pay for that to show up in people's feeds. But if they want to create something that's really kind of an engagement or an app that's outside of that or something else that feeds into Open Graph, then anyone who's participating in that engagement, that does get posted to their feed through an individual's feed versus the brand's feed. So that was a big part of this app, and what it's doing here on Facebook is it's posting to your feed as you do things. It's not really coming from the brand; it's coming from you straight to your feed. I think what Facebook are doing is saying, if you're a brand, let's say you're Pepsi, and you want to have a Facebook page and you want to communicate to people on Facebook, we're going to charge you money for that. But you as individuals, if you're posting things to your friends and posting activities through different apps like Instagram or whatever it is, it's going to show up in the same way that a regular Facebook post would.
I think that was a really good question, and it does diminish the viral impact, but it actually creates more need for doing the kind of things we do, which are creating engagements that people want to have. So if you're just basically spamming everyone with your status updates with your brand page, and you're only getting 15%, it's less and less meaningful. But if you're creating useful applications or games or anything that people want to spend time with, then they're going to, basically tell their friends, do it with me, which was part of the idea with the mobile app. You wanted to compete with your friends, and you tell your friends. It basically increases the need to create interesting experiences because it doesn't rely just on Facebook to make it easy for you.
Thanks.
But that's a really good question.
I was kind of wondering with the app that you built for the brand, how does the brand then connect with the app? Like, is there advertising on the app? And also, a bunch of marketing people went to a mobile conference yesterday, and I'm wondering what you think the future of mobile advertising is.
Okay.
There is, within this app, there is a section in here, and it is earbuds, which is a tab here. And if you click on that, it shows you their products.
Oh.
That's pretty much all it does, at this stage anyway. We may build e-commerce into that, so you can actually buy their products from within the app. Yeah, there is some brand marketing within the app as well as kind of the engagement around it.
But can you stop? But I think that the kind of thing that we're doing is an ad, and you shouldn't be fooled into thinking that it's just a toy for people to mess around with. You look at the earbuds logo every single time you use it. It says, it basically keeps saying the same, tagline over and over: "Go beyond and beyond the wall," and that's their tagline, their brand tagline. So it's strengthening their brand. Whether it gets you to go buy it, that's another story. They have other ways to get people to buy it. They have campaigns for their new product launches. They have these really goofy yellow and pink ones now. But things like that, they have that for sales, to increase sales. But this is to increase basically brand bonding, which is really important. And really good brands differentiate themselves by not trying to just sell stuff to you. They do it by creating good experiences that you think are from that brand.
I have two questions. The first is how you measure the role of social platforms. This is difficult to how is the role. And the second is how you can be sure that the swimming it's measured.
Swimming.
It's difficult. Probably on running and biking you can handle your fun, but swimming is impossible.
So we watch them. We go watch the swimming pool. We watch them swim.
No,
What was the first question again?
how do you measure the ROI of social platforms?
Oh, how do you measure the effectiveness of social
answer the swimming question first, because that's kind of funny. We said the same thing, like how are we going to know if people are doing this, because you can't track their distance if they're swimming laps in a pool. But the client wanted to keep it in there because a big part of what they do is around the Ironman, so they're all about running, swimming, cycling. And it's more of an honor system, the swimming thing. And on our app, you have to say, I'm going to do this swimming challenge, which is swim 200 meters in 10 minutes or whatever it is, and you say, okay, I'm going to do it. The timer here is a little different for swimming. It just tracks time, and when you press start, it gives you a countdown to let you kind of get in the pool. So it's more of a, and then when you get out, it says, you know, did you do it? And you have to say, yes, I did it.
A lot of these training apps that have whether you did it or not, you can cheat. You can get in the car and you can drive. But the point is, why would you cheat? You'd be stupid to be wasting your time cheating. You don't win anything. You're not going to win a trip to Kona with this. So you're just basically doing it for fun, right? And to measure how hard you work and to increase the points. And yes, you could cheat, but who cares? There always will be a certain number of people who cheat, and but they're just basically ruining their own experience. But we did talk about that, and that's a tricky one. But anyway, as far as measurement, this action tool has a dashboard that measures all the different interactions. You know, which badges get which walls get the most activity, which categories are the most active. You know, they can easily start planning out in the future which things they want to focus on more. They might even want to do another app, but focus more on one particular sport based on the metrics. Also, we use other analytics, Google Analytics, to measure the app, what the activity is. We're basically, you know, able to report on basically how many people are installing, how many people actually use it after they install, how many people, you know, how often they're using it, which things are the most popular.
So actually you can use for like a billboards on the street, because you know when the people don't, what are the rules of the people?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, we have map data. So you saw on Facebook it had maps, so closer map. So yeah, you could have the most densely populated city and where they are, and so you could take that data and do a lot of different interesting things with it.
It also allows them to make it more effective by looking at how people are using it and sort of adapting to that.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Marina. Could you share with us a little bit of the results of this campaign in terms of like popularity, like how many downloads you had, and also did it increase sales?
Okay, so no, I can't. It just launched about a month ago, so we aren't able to measure whether it was successful or not yet, unfortunately.
And they haven't started, they're going to start promoting it in January.
Yeah, so it isn't successful yet. They haven't promoted it yet because they had a product launch that was timed with this, so they didn't, it was bad timing. So
But for this photo contest on Facebook, we took their Facebook page basically from 0 to 50,000 within 3 months.
yeah, and they're not linking it to sales. It's not the goal.
I'm sorry, did you say 50,000?
Yeah, so this is not a sale. The purpose is not to generate sales at this point. It's rarely the point. If you look at most of these kinds of mobile utilities and Facebook apps and engagements, it doesn't lead directly to e-commerce or something like that. Although we actually did propose to put an e-commerce functionality in the app to try to give it a boost to basically pay for it and pay for us doing more stuff with it. But it's not really for that. It's to generate a large, thriving community that people basically grow to love the brand. So.
Thank you.
So a lot of the work that went into this campaign is highly visual and highly creative. I'm just wondering, did you run into any kind of creative disagreements or conflict with the client, and how you managed that?
No, they liked it. They pretty much liked what we did from the start.
The disagreements were he always wanted to put more stuff in it. He's kind of a sports geek himself, he ran the triathlon himself in Ironman, I think, and he was constantly, can we have this, can we have that? He's like, and I think he used to work for Sony, PlayStation, so he really wanted a game really badly. So part of the management was just trying to stop him from putting too much in that we couldn't.
There was a lot of, no, you're not paying for that.
Yeah, out of
Okay.
scope, over and over again. So we had an SOW, statement of work, that said at the beginning of the project, this is what we're gonna do, and this is when it's gonna be done, and this is how much it costs. And you didn't put that in the beginning of the statement of work, so we can't do it. Of course, we had flexibility. You know, maybe we did something else, and we actually changed some plans as we went along and said, well, we'll swap this in for something else. And so, you know, within reason, we would do what you wanted, but we created a list of phase 2, version 2 new features that we sent over this week. For example, what were some of the features? Audio feedback. So when you're running, it tells you, you know, you better speed up. You're getting slow, or you know, if you want to get the wall, you gotta run faster. And so those kinds of features we proposed, but we couldn't fit it in the first rev. So the second rev, and so this is an ongoing project. They'll continue doing future updates and enhancements. So that was the main thing. And then, you know, we had to, but there was times where we kind of had to convince them that some things were better than other things. So we had to, you know, push a little bit. It's a good question. It was a pretty demanding client.
Yeah. All clients are demanding. They're paying money for this stuff, and they want it to be good. It has to be good.
Is there maybe someone else? Backer.
Yeah, in relation to the Regis question, you stated that your the metrics that you use for more on brand engagement. From a business to customer point of view, you have to have metrics to say that I achieved everything that you asked me to do. So you mentioned earlier you would be looking at your acquisition, right? So would you say that the purpose of this is more for acquisition and brand engagement rather than since you mentioned earlier you didn't factor e-commerce or sales into that?
Yeah, it was mainly brand engagement, social engagement, acquisition, then engagement levels, and retention. So how long, how much they would stay with the app activity, which is pretty normal, right? So you attract them, and then you engage them, and you continue having them come back over and over again. So you're right, it's around brand engagement.
I just have a question. When last Friday, like when we met and we went through all these like projects and stuff, I remember that you guys said that it's very important to make sure that all your campaigns that are digital should be integrated. So in this case, I think that it's a perfect example how you can integrate a mobile app and Facebook. But the thing is, like, what could you recommend, like, when you are about to choose what digital media and how to target through what digital media your customers, like, what should be the priority? How did you find out that the mobile app and the Facebook integration would work the best, and for example, with the Twitter, let's just say? So what is like a priority?
Channels.
Yeah.
You know, I think it has to do with looking at who the customer is and what they do, what they like to do.
And how do you track it? How do you analyze?
How do
So
you know
you-
what they like to do?
So
I mean, yeah.
there's a demographic.
It's more about like a judgment. I
So you
think,
know,
that-
first of all, who's the target user? We knew that more of them were with female than male, and that they were in the 30s and 40s, and that they were heavy users of mobile smartphones. More on Facebook, or more on iPhone than Android, but the split was still, these days Android's become so popular, we had to do Android. I mean, it was absolutely necessary. So, which is why we did it. And then this particular demographic was big Facebook user. They're a bit richer, so they like to share in social channels. So we just basically looked at who they are, and then we looked at how we would use those people to communicate with a viral effect and their overall lifestyle, what would fit their lifestyle.
But we do a lot of research on user demographics and what sort of media different types of people use, and what would make sense for their market or
And how do
athletes.
you obtain this data? I mean, like, do you buy the sources and like the research
I mean, there's all different kinds of tools. There's tools for to analyze your web traffic, just to see who those people are and what their demographic is and how rich they are and everything. You can look at that. Who comes to your website is one way. Also, there's all kinds of secondary data you can purchase from Ad Age, Ipsos, all different places that you can pull from. It's out there. You can just Google it. A lot of it's already there. But some you have to pay for. Some you can. We use Ipsos study, not for this one, but for a lot of other things around millennials and how millennials' behavior in social and mobile and what they like to do. So that was something we just did for a client.
What tools did you use for
Guys,
research?
we have to wrap up right now because class is starting in like a minute, and